So the writing is on the wall, most certainly, for Keir Starmer. And this week he has shown, to me, why he's not going to be Prime Minister much longer. So first of all, Keir Starmer came out at the beginning of the week with a really bizarre speech about immigration. He went on to blame the Conservatives, and he kind of tried to come off as some type of anti-establishment guy who was showing us a conspiracy of why the Conservatives called it Global Britain, because they was letting everybody in. Now, I'm no fan of the Conservatives, but Keir Starmer is certainly no better. Now, the speech came across to me as desperate. Remember this, Keir Starmer has only been Prime Minister 5 months. You don't come out and start making speeches like that unless you're in real trouble. Now, we know there's not a general election coming up, so what is Keir Starmer so scared of? Richie Sunak did a very similar speech when he realised he was going to have to call a general election soon, and he saw the polling of how far behind he was. And then if we needed any more evidence of how the end is coming for Keir Starmer, he brought out this milestone, these pledges of what he was going to do, what somebody would usually do when they're coming up to an election, again, not 5 months into your first term as Prime Minister. And to me, it's obvious what the problem is. Keir Starmer has hundreds of MPs who have won for the first time. Many of them in areas where the Reform UK party are placing second. Now, them MPs are getting letters, they're getting emails, they're getting people coming to the surgeries telling them how unhappy they are with the Labour Party, and them MPs are now putting pressure on Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer's internal team are telling him how bad the polling is. But why would Keir Starmer be so scared and desperate to mix everything up, try to refresh his government after only 5 months when he's got another 4.5 years left? And I think the answer is, internally, the Labour Party are already sharpening the knives, realising the writing's on the wall for them, and thinking, is it best to get rid of Keir Starmer? Now, I hope I'm right. I hope the Labour Party do this, because not only will it be the end of Keir Starmer, as we saw with the Conservatives, as we saw with the Labour Party back in the 2000s, when you get rid of your Prime Minister and bring an unelected leader in, it only goes worse. Look at Boris Johnson. For all Boris Johnson's failings, he was polling just behind the Labour Party. Richie Sunak took over after Liz Truss, of course, and the polling went south, and they ended up losing his historic election. So for Keir Starmer to start making these pledges, and by the way, in these milestones that he made, he didn't mention immigration once. So all the news channels, what everyone's talking about is in his milestones. Why did he not mention immigration? Which may not be the biggest issue. It could be the cost of living or the NHS, but it's definitely in a close second or third. But what it is number one on people's talking points, and that's because it's a far easier fix than the other two. Look, the NHS is in a turmoil right now. Every year it gets more money thrown at it. In order to fix the NHS, it's going to have to be somewhat radical and probably quite controversial. But immigration, Keir Starmer could stop the illegal boats coming over. He's the Prime Minister with a massive majority. He could stop the legal migration coming in at the numbers it currently is. We hear this argument all the time. Oh, well, we need migrants for the NHS. How many of the migrants that you see coming over on boats end up working in the NHS? That is absolutely nonsense. It's a total rubbish, made-up argument to try and stop people having concerns. They know that the mass immigration doesn't help the NHS. Many countries around the world choose who comes in. If you need a certain type of person to come in for a certain type of job, you advertise for that. Now, Keir Starmer cannot solve immigration because he has too many MPs, he has too many Labour members who are so far left they would never allow him to do it. And the bigger thing, the bigger reason why Keir Starmer, Richie Sunak, Boris Johnson, Theresa May, David Cameron, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown and anybody else cannot stop immigration is because they are controlled by the powers to be. The establishment control and these people are handpicked to take this position, and we know the powers to be want mass immigration all around the world. They don't want an area where people was born, where you was raised, where you care about your area, where you're going to fight for your area when big changes are in. They don't want people to be proud of the country. So there is only one person at the moment. It's not the SNP, it's not the Lib Dems, it's not the Green Party. There's only one person who is capable of winning an election, who is the leader of a party, who genuinely cares and loves this country, and that is Nigel Farage. And that's why on the video we've just done, we've shown that Nigel Farage is now polling in second place and first place in many places in the country, including Wales, the east of England and the East Midlands, and very soon it'll be the north of England, and very soon it will be the whole country. Now Keir Starmer can see this, the Labour Party can see this, so that I think they're going to try and get rid of Keir Starmer. And wouldn't it be ironic? All the jibes Keir Starmer took when he was holier than all here, he was whiter than white, Boris Johnson and Richie Sunak, all the jokes he made about Liz Truss, and it may be that Keir Starmer, with his huge majority, can't even see out the first 12 months of being the Prime Minister. It would be unbelievable. It would never have been seen before. But it makes perfect sense. Although Keir Starmer's majority of 100 and whatever it is, Keir Starmer got 2/3 of the MPs, but Keir Starmer only got 1/3 of the popular vote. The Reform Party was only just really starting off. Farage had just took over back as leader, and a lot of people who wanted to vote Reform voted Labour in order to kick the Conservatives out. I wouldn't be surprised if as much as 10% of Labour's 33% vote actually would vote for the Reform Party. And what we're seeing now, the Reform Party polling 10% higher than what they got at the general election. And then you take into consideration all the Conservative voters who will leave the Conservative Party for the Reform Party. And what's so good about the Reform Party at the moment is it's taking votes off both parties. So the Labour Party have to pander to a certain element of the country, as do the Conservatives. The Reform UK Party are appealing to everyone because they're giving straightforward, simple answers, just like Donald Trump did in America when he won the election. Rather than giving all these milestones and these pledges, changing your mind on this, taking money off these vulnerable people, the Reform Party is saying there are too many people in the country. We will stop illegal immigration. We will stop spending £30 billion on green energy, and what we will do, we'll use gas and oil in order to give people cheap gas and electric until we're in a position to get better technology. First of all, we've got to look at some of these technologies to actually see if they're better. One thing I've learned being an elected official in a council is that many private companies come along to councils and governments trying to sell an idea. The councils eat it all up with the monopoly money that's not theirs, and really all what's happening is a private company is making a fortune using government legislation to say, look, we can come in, we can, I'll give you an example, we can come and put a heat pump in all your council houses for X amount of money, we can insulate your house. And the truth is, we don't actually know to what extent this works. Very similar to like we see with the fibre broadband. The government changed the legislation, these private companies come along, and they are raking money in from governments. And with that is what we see a lot of the time with the technology when it comes to going carbon neutral. We don't know to what extent some of this stuff works. Now, I think there's other technologies like water, like hydro, which do seem to be very good in terms of things like wind turbines. But the Reform Party are giving a simple message, and some people don't agree with it, but the Reform Party are not going down the middle. They're giving you a straight answer. We would stop spending £30 billion. £30 billion is a hell of a lot of money. Now, Keir Starmer, some people may say that he is not at the point of losing his position as Prime Minister, but I would say this: if that's the case, why is Keir Starmer taking such drastic actions at the moment, reinventing his government, reinventing his pledges, if things aren't going so bad with the internal messaging? But please let me know what you think. Do you think Keir Starmer is on the verge of going? And do you think it's because of the pressure and the rise of the Reform Party, who I actually think are got a polling far, far higher than what these usually controlled pollsters are telling us? Currently they're saying they're on 24%, and that puts them in second place above the Labour Party. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more like 32% of the vote, and they're actually in first place, which will probably come out in 2 or 3 weeks' time. But thank you all very much for watching, and can you please like, share and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next video.